All right, welcome everybody. We're going to start off today just in government incompetence. My Fox business appearance this morning, and we hit on a lot of these stories that again, you take a look at them and you're saying, how in the world is this possible? I mean, we're the country, we put a man on the moon. Look at what we've accomplished here. Look at the businesses that we have. Look at our economy, but look at this failure after failure after failure, and the true common denominator is government. It's government. Anyway, let's talk a little bit about debt spending first, because again, complete, utter government incompetence. You had the president this past week, the State of the Union address. What did he say? He said he cut the deficit by 1.7 trillion. Yes, I am the big debt cutter, deficit cutter. Right now, I got to hear the Congressional Budget Office reports that the budget deficit from October through January swelled to $522 billion from $259 billion year over year. Now, you've got tax receipts that are $43 billion lower than the year before, while spending is running a $220 billion kick higher. Oh, it's going to get worse, folks. And what do I mean by this? Well, just like we told you, the higher interest rates go, the more you and I, we the people, the taxpayers, are going to pay on government debt. Most of our nation's debt it's not in 30-year treasuries. It's in short-term instruments that they roll over again and again and again. Well, the Treasury's spending on interest. Janet Yellen is spending 41% more on interest this year, $198 billion, first 4 months, compared with $140 billion in the same period last year. Can they factor this into the budget? No, we're just going to raise the debt ceiling. It's going to raise it. It's going to keep printing. People, we went over this, and again, I do think that someone's going to make a phone call or two down to the Federal Reserve and say, "Hey, you guys got to cut it out." They raised rates. They just went back above. Remember, Larry Summers was calling 6.5%, 7%. You know what that's going to do to our budget? The amount of money we're paying in just interest. Nothing. Flushing money down the toilet. Think of, again, you try to get your arms around $198 billion. $198 billion and what you could do with that type of money. It's amazing if you actually think about it. Now, again, there's good reasons for borrowing money. So you want to go out and buy a home. Yeah, okay, good reason to go ahead and borrow money. Do you think we're getting the bang for our buck with the money the government's spending? And let me explain to you this, people. I mean, come on, let's be honest. Let's go back over 10 years now. Let's go all the way back to the Obama years and talk about the growth of our economy over that period of time. On average, GDP growth, well below historical averages. And if you do recall, you go back to that point in time, the Obama administration, they thought that they had it going on. Again, hey, we know what we're doing. We're the lords of Keynesian spending. We've got Green New Deals. We got all this stuff. And they got frustrated. Nothing that they did would work. You remember when Joe Biden was vice president and he was out there doing recovery summer? It's going to be recovery summer. Kind of reminded me of what was it, the Summer of George on Seinfeld? How'd that work out? And then Obama just threw in a towel towards the end of his administration. It's just, we got to learn to accept a lower standard of growth. This is abnormal. All of a sudden, all the things this country done in the past, now, this is the way it has to be. Slow growth because we, the Wizards of Smart in Washington, can't fix it. whatever. Government incompetence. Here's another example of government incompetence. The billions of dollars in stolen COVID assistance story saying that it's gone forever. No kidding. Well, you thought you were going to get that back? Huh? You thought the Nigerian scammers were going to get it back to you? And this story goes into what happened, and oh my God, it was so hard, so many phone calls. What was one guy said? It was like putting out a fire with buckets with holes in them. And listen, most state unemployment agencies were unprepared for the crush of calls and applications that flooded their offices. Overtaxed office workers, many using 1980s vintage technology. Yeah, we were making fun of that here on the program. Making fun of the program, the software that's being used, the technology that's being used, not just 1980s. You got stuff going. The IRS still using stuff from the 1960s. We told you here on the program that I don't know who it is, but some guy is still making, remember those black floppy disks? Remember those things? They were the precursor to the little plastic ones, the black ones that you could like wiggle and you had to stick in. Disk drive was about this wide. Yeah. Many government agencies still using that. Now, I'm not making this up. And one system doesn't talk to another system. Many applicants were allowed to self-certify. They just provided the information. They're like, okay, good, no big deal. Many agencies don't have access to the data that the Social Security Administration has, the people who have died file. Isn't that kind of sad if you actually think about it? You know, it's sad and it's pathetic government because you could outsource this thing to Google, Apple, Amazon. Hell, you could probably outsource it to Yahoo. And they'd figure it out. And it would work. Right? Think about it. Yeah. I can place an order on Amazon right now. I have to say if I need one of my vitamin supplements or something like that. I might get it today at my front door. More than likely tomorrow, but there's times I order stuff and I get it today. Talk about the type of logistics that they're capable of doing. Well, it's just a type of logistics that are possible, but we don't utilize in government because we have all of these people who don't do jack shit, okay? All of these bureaucrats that just sit there and do nothing. And again, I get a little angry. I grew up with this. I grew up in Albany, frickin' New York. Albany, New York, home to the state workers, and every other building there is a state office building. And what the flip do they do? I don't know. But you can't get this right. You can't figure it out. Sad. Another example of government failure. Again, the more I look into this story, the more no one is answering any questions. No one is answering any questions in regards to Balloon Gate here. Okay, what is it here? Do you know that these balloons were coming over? Because you came out at first you said you didn't know, then you said you did know, then you said it happened 3 times under the Trump administration. The Trump administration says, we don't know what the hell you're talking about. Isn't there issues with chain of command here? Yeah, I'm sorry. You know what needs to happen right now? All of these 4-star generals, they're all a bunch of bureaucrats. They are. They all need to be fired. Just move up the 1 stars and the 2 stars. You're pathetic. Oh, we have difficulty. We couldn't see it. We couldn't track it. You schmuck. What are we spending close to $1 trillion on a year? You can't spot a freaking balloon that's coming over? But then you said you can spot it? I mean, it's obscene. Chinese balloon carried antennas, other equipment to gather intelligence. Well, okay. Yeah, it was interesting. They had a guy, he was a professor at the George Mason Mercatus Center today, and I was having a conversation with him about, technology, and he was also mentioning the fact that stuff that might look innocuous, like instruments to measure wind speed in certain areas. Yeah, you forget we got a jet stream that goes over our country. China might be collecting information in regards to just to put into their missiles to help them to fly better. But anyway, U.S. is now poised to further tighten technology exports to China after balloon incident. Oh, yes, they got top men working on it right now. Yep. The grandkids of the top men that decided to put the Ark of the Covenant into the warehouse back there. Remember that Raiders of the Lost Ark? We got top men working on it right now. Yeah. People, you want to let's just go back in time, shall we? We decided as a nation, this is under the Clinton administration, that we were going to be all about China, baby. And again, don't blame it just on Clinton. Oh, yeah, big business. They saw the opportunity there. Oh, it was a great opportunity to start offshoring manufacturing and businesses looking to open up that market. And we said, whoa, if we're going to do this, boy, oh boy, China's going to become democratic. No, it didn't happen. I can understand, the thought process. However, you might want to be careful in the type of technology that you transfer there. And you go back to the 1990s, it was Loral Space that was sending over all of them. China's got missiles and ICBMs because of us. Okay? We're the ones that transferred all of this technology. And we've been doing it for a while now. The old Reagan, trust but verify. We trusted, but we didn't verify. And, they're stealing all of our stuff and reverse engineering it. They're freaking communists, man. What do you think they're going to do? Okay, their entire system of educating their kids and whatnot, it's not about imagination and independent thinking. They can't come up with that. Under a communist system, that stuff is discouraged. That type of thought process that's involved with innovation. Innovation and communism don't go hand in hand. What did you think that they were going to do? They're going to either steal it or we gave it to them. Anyway, there's some government incompetence. I could go on. Now let's move on. Let's move on. We'll talk about again, one see I told you so after another. Yahoo laying off. Yahoo's a funny story. I covered this. Do you remember when Verizon bought Yahoo? They bought Yahoo and AOL, and they were going to put it together to form Oath. What year was that? But again, I remember I forget her name. She was an attractive CEO. Oh, they had her on the cover of all the magazines. She took over Yahoo and drove the frickin' thing into the ground. I think Verizon, and I still to this day, because all of these CEOs and these executives, they're all buddy with one another. I think Verizon, did a solid and for somebody and buying Yahoo. They did get out at about even when they sold it to Apollo Management. Now Apollo Management's getting killed. I think it got sold for about $5 billion. Do you know that Yahoo at its height was worth about 180 to 200 billion? Yeah. Laying off 20% of the staff. I don't even know what they do there anymore. Lyft stock, last time I checked, it's down about 35% today. I talk about this sometimes on air and people don't believe me. I'm like, you do realize these rideshare companies don't make any money. You do realize that, right? Oh, everybody was cheering Uber on this past. Oh, their numbers were wonderful. They lost billions. They lost billions. If you were one of the greater fools, and we warned you wanted to get involved with the IPO of one of these things, we told you what was going to happen. For how many years? It had to be almost 10 years, maybe more. Uber was, under the venture capital umbrella where they would constantly feed it more money and raise the valuation until they eventually took it public and then wiped everybody out. Uber's below its IPO price. Lyft is, I think their IPO price was what, 70 something dollars a share. But I think what is it now? $8-10 a share. I didn't pay attention. Yeah, this isn't a business. I try to get my arms around this. They look at these CEOs like they're geniuses. I'm saying to myself, wait a second. Okay. The taxi business, the business of moving somebody from point A to point B has been around as long as some of the world's oldest businesses, if you know what I mean. I remember, decades ago when I was going to school in Italy, they had, you made a phone call. It was a radio cab. Made a phone call. Beep, boop, boop, boop. Taxi would come, get you there. That's how the taxis worked in Florence. Again, you replace phone with app. Really, what's the difference? A couple bells and whistles here and there, tips, stars, whatever it may be. You're moving somebody from point A to point B. And you can't make money doing that. The guy feeding his family, said this before, the guy feeding his family in Vietnam, running down the street with the rickshaw. I don't know if they still do that. Is got better numbers than Uber or Lyft do. It is what it is. Here's another one. I saw when this company came out, I'm like, what a piece of garbage. Again, it's wonderful. It's a new company. You buy now, you pay later. And I'm thinking to myself, what? Did they have some sort of magic money box? Isn't that layaway? Didn't they used to have that at Kmart back in the day? Yeah, they're in trouble today. Here's CEO. The root cause of where we are today is that I acted too slowly as these macroeconomic changes unfolded. This is Mac Levchin said in a blog post. No, Max. The problem is that you don't have a going concern. You just don't. You just don't. They're vacating a portion of their San Francisco office. They're considering whether to keep its lease. Good luck with that. Boy, again, what's stock down about 80% over the past year. Listen, you end up riding a wave the right way. That's great, and you hit it. But that's not the way we do things here. We look for companies that have solid business models, and just don't have them. Anyway, crypto. Yeah. Out there, we got Super Bowl this weekend. What's the over-under on crypto ads? Do you think Matt Damon and Larry David and Tom Brady and the crypto stars from last year's Super Bowl, do you think it'll come out, maybe apologize to everybody? Nah, probably not. Probably not. So I got the story here. Crypto exchange Kraken. That's it. Again, I always found that as an interesting name. You're naming your crypto exchange after the mythological Greek beast. Remember that from Clash of the Titans? Release the Kraken. Anyway, it's going to close down its U.S. cryptocurrency staking operation and pay a $30 million fine to settle enforcement action. Staking operation. When you say staking operation, sounds like something that the mob would do, right? Pretty much. So they would lend the crypto, stake it to somebody else, and then pay these above average rates of interest on the loan, the loaned out crypto. Again, please show me your magic money box where this makes it possible. It doesn't make any sense. Okay? None of it makes any sense at all. Okay, show me the freaking math. You know, people may just because you think people are smart, they sound smart because they're using big words you don't understand. They don't need to do that. Okay, I don't need SAT words to explain how we go about managing people's money. They're doing that to confuse you and get you to think that there's some sort of wizard of smart, and they're not. Top House Republicans are looking into the SEC and their investigation of FTX. As soon as that happened, I said something's rotten. Something's rotten in this investigation. Why the hell would the Justice Department, the SEC, go after SBF the day before he was supposed to testify in Congress and more than likely further incriminate himself? Why would you do that? Why would you do that? It's just stupid. Or, no, not necessarily stupid. It's the fix is on. Fix is on. I had former congressman from Georgia, great guy, Doug Jones. I met him today for the first time. Was on set at Fox, and he explained to me just the rot that is in Washington D.C. and having conversations about it. It's bad. It's bad. And again, I'm trying to figure out what is the mechanism to do this. So I know the House has got subpoena power now, and they're holding hearings. But again, he made the point. He said, "What are you going to do? What are you going to do? You're going to get all this information, and you got to hand it over to who? You got to hand it over to the Justice Department of Justice. Are they going to do anything?" He said, "Probably not." Again, when Donald Trump came in, he talked about draining the swamp, and he went after the FBI, went after the CIA, went after all of these agencies. I mentioned this before. I recall vividly. Certain times when politicians they have their own little Freudian slips. I catch them, and this one in particular scared the living shit out of me. Scared me, but it also kind of confirmed what I knew already. It was Chuck Schumer being interviewed by Rachel Maddow, and talking about Trump attacking government agencies, in particular the FBI and the CIA. And Chuck's like, "Look at just Trump. He's going after these guys. These guys got 6 ways past Sunday to get back at you." And they did, man. They got him. Oh, man, and Russia collusion and planting the story that, it was just, remember the Comey, he had to tell Trump, then he had to report. It's just, the fix was on. This is sometimes people, you don't telegraph what you're going to do. You don't telegraph. Whoever steps in, I'd go into you're fired. There was a great scene. That great scene. I love the television show Entourage. Would never happen today, and that's a shame. And youngsters, if you haven't seen it, you got to go back and watch it. Better time. Anyway, the lead character is played by Jeremy Piven. Takes over a competitor, and he's got a lot of bad blood with some of the workers that are there. He goes to the office with a paintball gun and just starts shooting everybody with the paintball gun that he's firing. You're fired, you're fired, you're fired. You got to go through the FBI, the CIA. You're gone, you're gone, you're gone. You get out. Get the frick out. You got to find a way around it. I know we got civil servant. We can't fire him. Oh, bullshit. Either that, you know what, or like I said, have them manning some sort of weather station in Siberia with the Russians, or put them up to North Pole, Alaska. I don't care. I don't care. Get them the hell out. Yeah, the SEC warned Americans over the risk of including assets like cryptocurrencies in their self-directed individual retirement accounts, as well as unregulated trading platforms posing as exchanges. Again, you're going to get massive blowback from the crypto industry. How do they do that? Listen, it's a frickin' scam. It's a scam. I don't know what to tell you. Anyway, this is interesting. Stephen Ross, he's a big mover and shaker. His last big development in New York City is Hudson Yards. And the last time I was at Hudson Yards was pre-COVID Christmas. They had a lot of, I was in there. They have a high-end mall and fancy staircase, and they had selling apartments there. And they've got Facebook was going to open up big offices there. A lot of commercial real estate, retail real estate, a little bit of mix of everything. Massive development, huge. There, Christmas time, again, pre-COVID, dead. It's dead. It was just nothing really happening over there at all. And again, this is Christmas time in New York City, where if I was on Fifth Avenue or other areas, there'd be people, the streets were clogged. And something's not right here. Something's not adding up. But anyway, this massive development right now. I guess right now they're trying to take a big chunk of it because they're realizing that, guess what? We're not going to fill this thing. And they want to turn it into a casino. But the developer, Stephen Ross, this guy's a billionaire. He's looking, he doesn't want to develop in the Northeast anymore. He's going down to West Palm and Miami. And he gave a myriad of reasons. Said it's not just taxes. He basically just said, it's quality of life issues. Quality of life issues and a myriad of things. And he's right. Journal today had actually by the numbers, comparing. You get all that stuff now at Super Bowl and comparing quarterbacks, teams, and by the numbers. State population, Florida, 22.2 million. New York, 19.6 million. State income tax, top state income tax rate, Florida, 0. New York, 10.9. Top income tax rate, New York City and Miami. Florida, 0. New York, 14.8. Sales tax in Florida is 6% versus New York at 4%. The state unemployment rate, Florida, 2.5. New York, 4.3. The annual, this is it, the budget. I went over this on the show a couple days ago. 114.8 billion Florida, 227 billion New York. And then you look at Medicaid spending. Holy crap. Altogether with the federal share, Florida, 28.7 billion. The New York, 73.2 billion. Medicaid recipients, Florida, 5.6 million. New York, 7.7. Real estate GDP growth from 2016 to 2021, Florida, 17%. New York, 8%. You are what your record says you are. I hate to break it to you. Do a couple more here today. I'm going to save some of the green stuff and some of the geopolitical stuff for next week. We'll end on this one today. I told this to Congressman Ross. He's from Georgia. And football's kind of big in the South, and I happen to love the sport too. When I was a kid, the oldest, 4 boys in my house. Mommy wouldn't let me play football until I got to high school. Fine. It's fine. It made her nervous. That's okay. Okay. I'm like, well, one of the, those kids out there blame their parents. I play football. No, I played soccer and I loved it. Okay. Got to high school, played football, picked up on it pretty quick and enjoyed it. My younger brother, Matthew, he played college football. We all 4 of us played it and enjoyed the game. My kids, obviously my daughter didn't play. My eldest son played a bit. My youngest son, he's a star player. He's a good player. Anyway, I was telling about the story. That I'm not making this up. Democrats here in the state of New York want to ban kids from playing Tackle football. Oh, yes. Yes. Democratic New York lawmakers are introducing a bill to ban children from playing tackle football. It's going to ban football for kids 12 years old and younger. Again, the safest time to be playing football is when you're 12 years old. How many out there? We used to play tackle football without pads, beating the crap out of each other all day long. You're not that strong at that point in time. You're not that fast at that point in time. You don't even weigh that much. You take a look at the physics that are involved. It's a bit different. You get these guys in the NFL. I mean, they're huge and they're fast as all hell. I had this conversation with people before. They were talking about, fixing the helmets and concussions and all this stuff, and it's an issue. There's no doubt about it. It's an issue. And my suggestion is have weight limits like they do in other contact sport, wrestling, boxing. Say, you can only weigh a certain amount. You got to be under a certain weight, and kind of, take some of that, I guess the collisions down. You take the weight out of the collision. Collisions are going to still be, pretty violent. These guys are fast. But again, and I've told this story before. And I got to go back. I haven't been back to Italy in a while, and Florence is one of my favorite places in the world. But I love Rome too, and I don't know Rome as well as I do other areas of the country, but I love going there. I do. And if you get a chance to go, before you go, make sure you book a tour to Colosseum. Don't just go and walk around. Okay. Book a guided tour, and they have different ones they got qualified people. They have PhD candidates that are showing you around. This is a world-class museum, and they keep finding more and more stuff. And all of the insight, and they're giving you comparisons and what was accurate with Gladiator and what wasn't accurate. And one of the things that they were talking about is you're over at the Gladiator training areas where they actually still have the writing on the walls where the gladiators were, writing messages and drawing pictures. It's the idea that they were all slaves. You watch the show, Spartacus or the movie Gladiators are all slaves in there. People volunteered. They wanted the glory. They wanted to do it. Again, if you don't know the risks that are involved with doing certain things, the risks involved. You're not going to take that out of life. You look at everything, car racing. Anything can happen at any point in time. And again, you want to mitigate all these risks. You want to make it as safe as possible. But they're little kids. They got their pads on. They're weighed down by those things. You ever see little kids play football, for crying out loud? Well, if you haven't, you can just, watch a rerun of the New York Jets and see how they run their offense. Sorry, Jets fans. Watchdog on WallStreet.com. Watchdog on WallStreet.com. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody.